Hey there, everybody. Ready to dive into some AI today?
Always ready for that.
All right, well, this time we're looking into a company called Thinking Machines.
Yeah?
That's making some big claims about the future of AI, and, everybody's making big claims about AI these days.
Yeah, it's really heating up
It really is.
out there.
Yeah. So we'll go off of this article.
Okay.
Former OpenAI CTO Murati launches Thinking Machines to revolutionize AI accessibility and collaboration. Quite a mouthful.
Yeah.
But what's interesting to me right off the bat is that, we've got Murati,
Yep.
the former CTO of OpenAI, behind this company.
Right. So that right there lends a lot of credibility
It does.
to the whole project.
It does.
I mean, OpenAI's been at the forefront of all
Gotcha.
this with ChatGPT.
Right, and even DALL-E and all the other
Different
projects. So that was what caught my attention. But let's get into what they're actually talking about here.
Okay.
They're saying they want to make AI for everybody?
Yeah, they're talking about democratizing AI and, making it accessible.
What does that even mean?
Well, I think what they're getting at is that right now, the really powerful AI tools are in the hands of a few, right? Big tech companies, research institutions,
Right.
And if you're just an individual with an idea or a project where AI could be really helpful, you're kind of out of luck.
Unless you're like super
Exactly.
technically savvy.
You'd have to be a serious expert
Yeah.
to even begin to build your own AI models.
Yeah, and I think that's what they're trying to address here.
That's exactly what it seems like.
That barrier to entry.
Yeah, they want to make it so that you don't have to be a coding wizard
Right.
to use AI for your own purposes.
So it's almost like they want to do for AI what personal computers did for computing.
Yes, exactly. Like back in the day,
Back in the day.
only specialists had access to computers, right? They were these big
Yeah.
mainframes.
I very
Took up
expensive.
whole rooms.
Yeah.
But then personal computers came along,
Right.
and suddenly, boom, everyone could have a computer on their desk, and it opened up a whole new world.
Right, and you could use it for whatever you wanted.
Whatever you wanted, writing, gaming, you name it.
That's a really good analogy.
I think that's really what Thinking Machines is going for here.
Okay, I'm getting it now.
Yeah.
But, it's easy to say AI for everyone. But how do you actually make that happen? I mean, AI can be incredibly complex, right?
Oh, absolutely.
How do you make it user-friendly for someone who's not, an AI researcher?
Well, they've got a couple of key ideas they're pushing, and one of them is this idea of human-centric AI.
Okay, and I saw that in the article.
So the idea is that AI shouldn't replace humans.
Mhm.
It should collaborate with us.
Okay, so instead of AI taking over jobs, it's more about AI helping us do our jobs better.
Exactly. It's about augmenting human capabilities, not replacing them.
And how would that even work? What would that look like in practice?
Well, they're talking about developing what they call multimodal systems.
Multimodal.
Yeah, so basically,
I vaguely remember that term.
it means that the AI can understand and process different types of data, not just text, but also images, videos, all sorts of stuff.
So it's not just like typing in a command and getting a response.
No, it's much more.
It's more interactive.
and intuitive, yeah.
Okay, so paint me a picture here.
Okay, so imagine you're a scientist working on a research project.
Okay.
And you've got all this data, images, charts, graphs, text documents.
Right. It can be
It's just
overwhelming
a nightmare.
just to even look at.
Exactly. But now imagine an AI that can help you make sense of it all.
Okay.
It can analyze the images, extract the key information from the text documents,
Mhm.
and then, here's the cool part, it can generate a 3D model based on what it learns from the data.
Wow. So it's almost like having a research assistant that can understand and process all these different types of information for you.
Exactly. And one that never gets tired or needs a coffee break.
That sounds amazing, but also a little bit intimidating. I mean, how do you even begin to build AI systems that are that sophisticated?
Well, it's a huge undertaking.
Yeah.
No doubt about it. But the article talks about thinking machines taking a two-pronged approach.
Okay.
On the one hand, they're developing really powerful AI models, the kind that can handle all this complex stuff.
Right. The brains of the operation.
Exactly.
But they're also focusing heavily on building the infrastructure, the underlying systems that make these models actually work.
Yeah, it's like building a skyscraper. You need a strong foundation to support all those fancy floors.
So it's not just about the fancy algorithms, it's also about making sure these systems are reliable and accessible for everyday users.
Exactly. That's the key.
Oh, okay, I see.
They're not just trying to create something cool in the lab.
Right.
They want to make sure it actually works for people in the real world.
Yeah, that's the difference between something that's, a cool science project
Exactly.
and something that can actually change the world.
Absolutely. And one of the ways they're trying to make it really useful for people is by focusing on personalization.
Personalization. So they're saying that my AI could be different from your AI, tailored to our specific interests and the way we work.
That's the idea.
Okay.
They want to move away from these one-size-fits-all AI models
Right.
and create systems that can actually learn and adapt to the individual using them.
So they're almost treating AI like a tool that you can customize and personalize.
Exactly.
Like your smartphone or your computer.
Exactly. Imagine an AI that knows your preferences, your work style, your goals, and it adapts to you rather than you having to adapt to it.
Okay. Now, I mean, that's pretty mind-blowing
It
if
is.
they can actually pull it off.
It is.
That's really impressive.
Yeah, they're thinking big.
They are, but...
And it could have a huge impact on everything from research and education to creative work and even just, everyday life.
It could, but, it takes more than just a good idea and some fancy algorithms to build a company like this.
Oh, absolutely.
It takes a team with serious expertise.
Mm-hmm.
So what can you tell us about the people behind thinking machines? Because, they've got Murati,
Right, has a huge name.
but who else is there?
Well, that's another area where they seem to have a real advantage.
Okay.
The article mentions that their team is full of experienced AI researchers and engineers, people who've worked on some of the biggest AI projects out there.
Wait, are you saying they have people from, like, ChatGPT and Character.ai?
Yes, they've got people who worked on those projects and also people who contributed to open source frameworks like PyTorch and OpenAI Gym.
Okay, hold on. Now you're getting into some technical terms that I'm not sure everyone's familiar with.
Right, sorry.
Can you break that down a bit?
Sure, so open source basically means that the code for these tools is publicly available.
Okay.
Anyone can use it, modify it, distribute it.
So it's like a collaborative effort where everyone can contribute to making these tools better.
Exactly. And it really fosters a sense of community and transparency in the AI world.
So they're not just building AI, they're building a community around it.
That's exactly what it seems like.
I'm starting to get really intrigued by this company.
Yeah, they're doing some interesting stuff.
They are.
And it'll be fascinating to see how they actually deliver on all these promises.
Right, because, we've heard a lot of big talk about AI lately.
Oh yeah, there's no shortage of hype.
But, it's the results that matter.
Absolutely.
So in part 2 of this deep dive, we'll take a closer look at what Thinking Machines is actually working on.
Sounds good.
And see if they're living up to the hype.
Looking forward to it.
Me plea.
Let's see what they've got.
All right, we'll be right back after the break.
So, are they actually delivering on these promises? Well, the article says that Thinking Machines is already making waves in the tech world.
Yeah.
I mean, they're attracting big investments.
Oh, yeah.
And forming partnerships with some major players.
That's always a good sign.
Yeah, it means people are taking them seriously.
It does. It means they're putting their money where their mouth is.
Exactly. And it seems like investors see them as, a potential leader in this whole AI revolution.
Okay, so they're attracting attention.
Yeah.
But what are they actually working on? What kind of products or services are they developing?
Well, that's where things get really interesting. The article goes into some of their projects, and it's clear they're not just trying to create a slightly better version of what's already out there.
So they're not just like building a better ChatGPT?
No, they're tackling some of the fundamental limitations of current AI systems.
Like what? What kind of limitations are you talking about?
Well, remember we talked about the difficulty of customizing AI for different tasks and adapting it to new situations.
Yeah, those are some big challenges.
Huge. And that's where their focus on human-centric AI and personalization comes in.
Right, because if AI can learn and adapt alongside humans,
Exactly.
it becomes much more versatile.
Exactly. It's not just about executing pre-programmed instructions. It's about learning and evolving with us.
Okay, I'm starting to see how this all fits together, but can you give me some concrete example? Like, what specific projects are they working on?
Sure. The article mentions they're developing AI models that could revolutionize fields like programming, scientific discovery, and engineering.
Those are some pretty ambitious goals.
Oh, yeah. I mean, imagine an AI that could help scientists analyze massive data sets,
Okay.
like the kind they use in astronomy or genomics.
Right, data sets that would take humans years to sift through.
Exactly. And the AI could identify patterns and insights that humans might miss.
So it's not just about speeding up the process, it's about making new discoveries that wouldn't be possible otherwise.
That's the idea. And they're also working on AI that could assist engineers in designing more efficient and sustainable infrastructure, like buildings and transportation systems.
Wow, those are some pretty high-impact areas. But it sounds like they're not just focused on these big, complex problems. They're also thinking about how this technology can be used by individuals in their everyday lives, right?
Absolutely. They're not just building these models in a vacuum. They're also creating user-friendly infrastructure to make them accessible to a wider range of people.
So it's like they're building the roads and bridges that will connect these powerful AI systems to the rest of the world.
Exactly. They want to make it easy for anyone to use these tools regardless of their technical expertise.
Okay, now that's something I can get behind. But what about this multimodal thing? I remember that term from earlier. Can you remind me what that means?
Sure, so multimodal basically means that the AI can process and understand different types of data.
Like not just text, but also images and videos.
Exactly. And potentially even audio, sensory data from the real world, you name it.
So we're talking about AI that can interact with the world in a much richer, more nuanced way than we're used to seeing.
Precisely. Imagine an AI that can watch a video of a sporting event and provide commentary,
Okay.
or listen to a piece of music and generate a visual representation of the emotions it evokes.
That's pretty wild. It sounds like they're pushing the boundaries of what we even think of as AI.
They are, and it's all underpinned by their commitment to developing AI responsibly and ethically.
Right, because with great power comes great responsibility, as they say.
Exactly. So they're not just focusing on the cool factor, they're thinking about the potential impact of this technology on society.
So how exactly are they approaching this ethical dimension?
Well, the article lays out 3 guiding principles. First, they're committed to maintaining high safety standards.
Okay, so making sure their AI doesn't fall into the wrong hands or get used for harmful purposes.
Exactly. But at the same time, they also want to preserve user freedom, so it's a delicate balance.
Right, because you don't want to stifle innovation by being overly cautious.
Exactly. And their second principle is about sharing best practices across the AI industry.
So it's not just about what Thinking Machines does internally, but about encouraging a culture of responsible development across the board.
Precisely. They recognize that the challenges and implications of AI are too big for any one company to tackle alone.
That makes sense. Collaboration is key when you're dealing with something as potentially transformative as AI.
Absolutely. And their third principle focuses on accelerating external research on AI alignment.
Now, when they talk about AI alignment, what exactly do they mean?
Essentially, it's about making sure that AI systems are aligned with human values and goals.
So preventing AI from becoming like a threat to humanity.
Exactly. It's about making sure AI is beneficial to us, not harmful.
Okay, that makes sense. And Thinking Machines is actively contributing to this research.
Yes, they're providing access to their code, datasets, and model specifications to researchers working on AI alignment.
Wow, that's pretty impressive. They're really putting their money where their mouth is when it comes to ethical AI development.
They are, and it really sets them apart for a lot of other companies in this space.
It does, but enough about their principles or approach. Let's talk about the people behind all of this. Who are the minds shaping Thinking Machines?
Well, we already talked about Murati and her background at OpenAI.
Right, but who else is on the team?
They've got people who have worked on ChatGPT, Character.ai, PyTorch, OpenAI, Jim, you name it.
So they've got the experience, the expertise, the track record.
They do. And what's really interesting is that their experience isn't limited to just building AI models.
Okay, what else have they done?
They also have deep expertise in creating the infrastructure and tools that make AI accessible and usable.
So they're not just brilliant scientists, they're also skilled engineers and developers who know how to bring these complex systems to the real world.
Exactly. And they're building a company culture that reflects their values, openness, collaboration, shared learning.
So it's not just about building cool AI, it's about building a company that embodies those values.
That's a great way to put it. They're walking the walk, not just talking the talk.
I like that. They're leading by example.
Exactly. They're constantly publishing their research, writing blog posts, sharing their code.
That's pretty refreshing. It's not often you see a company that's so transparent and willing to share its knowledge.
It's impressive. And it really speaks to their belief in the power of collaboration.
It does. But with all this talk about Thinking Machines and their approach, it begs the question, what does it all mean for the future of AI?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And one that we'll explore in the final part of our deep dive.
Okay, looking forward to it. So Thinking Machines is really giving us a different way to think about the future of AI.
Yeah, a future where AI is a tool we can all use, not something that's just for a select few.
The article really hit on that point, this idea of moving away from AI as something that replaces us to AI as something that works with us.
Yeah, almost like a partner,
Yeah,
augmenting what we can do instead of taking over.
and if they actually achieve what they're setting out to do, I mean, the implications are they're huge.
Oh, they're massive. We're not just talking about, making life a little easier here.
Right, it's a much bigger shift than that.
It's about changing how we approach problems, how we create, how we learn, like everything.
Imagine a world where anyone at all, can use AI to solve problems in their community,
Yeah.
to create new things, to learn new things. I mean, it's almost like,
It's like a whole new renaissance.
yeah, it is like a democratization of knowledge and problem solving.
Yeah, it's exciting to think about, but
It is, but
it's also kind of scary,
it
right?
is scary.
I mean, there are so many questions about what happens when everyone has access to this kind of power.
Right, like how do we make sure that it's used for good? How do we prevent it from being used for harmful purposes? And I know the article talked a little bit about this,
It did.
but I'm curious to hear your take on it.
Well, I think that's where Thinking Machine's commitment to ethical AI is so crucial. I mean, they're really putting a lot of emphasis on safety and transparency.
Right, and that collaboration piece too.
Yeah, that's huge. They're not trying to do this alone. They're actively working with others to figure out how to navigate all of this responsibly.
Which I think is really important because, like you said, this is a big deal. We need everyone at the table to make sure it goes well.
We do. And it's not just about preventing harm. It's also about making sure that everyone has access to the benefits of AI.
Right, because we don't want to end up in a situation where
Right.
AI just makes the rich richer and the powerful more powerful.
Exactly. We need to make sure it's used to create a more just and equitable world, not exacerbate existing inequalities.
Well said. I completely agree with you there. So, big question for our listeners. If AI really did become accessible to everyone, what would you do with it?
Yeah, what problems would you solve? What would you create? What would you learn? It's really mind-blowing to think about all the possibilities.
It is. Thinking Machines is really betting on human ingenuity and creativity here.
They are, and it'll be fascinating to see what people come up with.
It really will. I, for one, am excited to see where this all goes, and I hope our listeners are too.
Yeah, it's definitely something to keep an eye on. Thinking machines could be on the verge of changing the world as we know it.
Well, that's all the time we have for today. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into thinking machines.
Yeah, this was a good one.
It was. I learned a lot, and I hope you did too.
I always do. These deep dives are always so stimulating.
They are, and that's what we're here for, to explore these big ideas and help you make sense of the world around us.
Exactly. And who knows, maybe even inspire you to go out and change it for the better.
That's the dream. All right, until next time, keep thinking, keep exploring, and keep diving deep.